Honestly, I love finding new music today and new artists and stuff. Love music that like blends a bunch of different styles too. So anybody who does that is always like a big inspiration for me.
All right, we're here in the studio with the Indie LA podcast, and we have our special guest, Ashley Levin, with us. Thanks, Ashley, for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so singer, dancer, songwriter, extraordinaire. We want to just hear about all the stories. Tell me about your first love. You said it was singing. How'd you get into that? Who inspired you, and what made you keep going?
Big question. Singing, my ultimate love. Yeah, I've been doing it, honestly, no joke, since I came out of the womb. Not an exaggeration.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess I just always sang, and my siblings also are in music, so it was kind of inevitable. Like I was just saying, my mom's from Haiti, so the islands, like the music is just always on, you know? Any home video we had that we can watch now, there's music playing like in the background. So I really feel like it was inevitable for us to just love the arts at least. And then I guess we just happen to be pretty good at it. I remember like even in, elementary school, I was like in the musicals and I was always like the girl in choir who wanted all the solos and did all the things and went to all state and then we ended up moving to Georgia to go to this like fine art school.
Nice.
For middle and high school. And that was awesome. Because I got to sing and dance and act and play piano and write and do all the things.
You really knew
all
early
day.
on that
that
was for you.
Oh, this was like a sure thing from day one. There was no question. I don't think I've ever really questioned it now that I'm looking back. Everybody has their ups and downs, but it's just kind of been that steady thing. I can't not do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's kind of how it started and just kind of got inspired from probably a bit of the family, a bit of the culture, and just listening to the radio and probably watching a lot of Disney movies. I won't lie. So yeah, that's kind of where the inspiration came from.
Cool. Tell me about your first like musical experience, if you can remember. What was like the first role that you played as a kid?
Well, yeah, definitely has to be elementary school. I was in dance since I was little, since I was like 3. So that was some form of performance, right?
Okay.
Your recitals, etc. And that was always exciting. I just really, and I hope this doesn't come off weird, but like I really liked being good at stuff and stuff that I liked.
Sure.
And I loved dance and I loved music.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to be as good as I can be at this. I want to be the best. So everything revolved around that, just getting better. And I was a little bit obsessive to a point where you're like, is this child okay? I was like always dancing around the house, always singing, always like practicing piano and learning like more about music theory. And I'm like in the 3rd grade and my mom's like, what? My mom doesn't sing. My dad doesn't sing.
They don't know.
They don't do anything like that. They're like, what is happening to these children? What have we done? But they're also really supportive. But yeah, I think my first role was probably, I would say like 4th grade. I was probably in the musical that I was in 4th grade.
Okay.
I don't think I was even a big role. Oh, I was Rafiki in The Lion King. That's what it is.
Oh, that's
Nice.
huge.
So I got to like stand at the beginning and be like, Nazibenya, like
Dude,
as this little teeny blonde girl in the front.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that was it. And I think, it was probably quite a pivotal moment.
Oh,
Stand
that's
out
incredible.
there, you open the show,
Feeling the crowd.
spotlight on you, everybody.
So you're holding
Hold
it
it
up.
up.
Oh yeah, you do. You're holding it up and you're like, all eyes on me, here we go. And it was awesome. And then from there, just kind of snowballed, I
Yeah.
would say.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
What did they use for the line? Was there
I
like
think
a
it was
stuffed
like
cat?
those the stuffed Simba ones,
stuff.
that you
Yeah.
get, like the actual toy. Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Nice.
Yep. And the next year, I think I was Belle in Beauty and the Beast. So
Oh, yeah.
good times, good times.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Lead role right there.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Well, tell me about the music school that you went to. You said you moved to Georgia, and like, what was that
Yeah.
experience like?
It was incredible. Honestly, it felt like you were going to camp every day. And school academically was never really a problem for me in a odd way. I'm not going to lie and tell you that I studied all the time because I didn't. I just had always had that mentality of like, if I can just get this done and do it well, I can do all my music stuff
Sure.
and all these other things. And my mom is honestly very strict when it comes to everything, but academics for sure. It was like all A's or Trouble Town, USA. So you better get all A's. And if you do, then I have no problem with you doing whatever else you want to do. So I was like, if I can just lock down academics. And I knew that from elementary school. So I just kind of always did well. So thank goodness, because it was also like the #1 academic school in the state.
Okay.
And yeah, we would just like, I don't know. It was crazy. I'd be like my senior or junior year, I don't even remember. It's like AP Calc. And then you would go to like Modern 4 and you would like dress out in your dance clothes and dance for an hour. And then you'd be like in AP Literature. And then you'd like come back and you'd have lunch. And then you would go to piano class. And then you would go to the chorale. And then you would go to maybe musical theater class or an acting class you're in or whatever you're in that semester. And it really did feel like, okay, it's like a camp, but also you're doing some academic stuff in there. Then I'd like sing with the jazz band after school. And yeah, it was just so fun. It was
That's
so
nice.
fun.
That sounds way more motivating than just sitting in class all day.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
gosh.
Like
Yeah.
having those things like sprinkled out throughout the day to
Oh my
break
God,
up the
yeah. Oh, I can't imagine how normal students did it. Like I look and I'm like, you just sat there for 8 hours and went from class to class to class? No, thank you. Hard pass for me.
Yeah. I mean, I know about you, Marcus, but I did half days. Most of like high school and even junior high. I'd skate half the day or like the morning or afternoon and I just go to school.
Oh, okay.
Part of the day.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, I don't think I could have done just like sitting there all day.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Not for me either.
Man, I don't know what I was doing. We had like I know that we had 0-hour jazz band, so we had to get up early.
Oh, yeah.
It started at 6:30 in the morning. I had to get there about like a half hour to 45 minutes like earlier because like my dad had to be to work at 6:30.
Okay.
So he had to drop me off early and I'd just be like sitting outside the room just like I don't know, practicing or looking over my songs or just like but yeah, that's what I remember. I remember my days like starting off really cool with jazz band, and then it was just
Downhill
school.
from there.
I can downhill from there, man.
Yes.
But no, that's awesome. That sounds cool. Like that's motivating when you have it like broken up like that.
Oh, yeah.
And from what age was that too?
That was so 6th grade because it was middle school all the way through the end of high school.
Awesome. Okay.
I
Cool.
will say it does sound super fun, and it was. But you'd have that, and we started at 7:30 in the day, and we had like 14 periods. They were half-hour periods, but
Okay.
some of the classes would be 2 periods. Some of them would be like your piano class. They're not gonna have you sit there for an hour. It's like a 30-minute class,
I got you.
for example, or a 30-minute lunch or whatever. But you'd do that from like 7:30 to 3:15, and then you would have like 30 minutes, and 9 times out of 10 you'd have like a rehearsal after school for either chorale because we have a concert coming up, or a dance rehearsal because we have a dance show coming up, or the musical theater show, and you're like there until like 10 p.m. at night. And so my life was that school, and just music and school and all this stuff every day, like Monday through Friday. It was like 7 to like 8, 9, 10. Then you just go to sleep, wake up, do it again. Yeah.
That's cool.
Crazy.
Oh, it's cool to be like immersed in that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So how did dancing get started for you? I mean, you said you did that at like as a young age too, but like what influenced you? Do you remember anybody who like stood out? Any teachers, any mentors?
Or a particular type of dance that caught your eye?
Yeah. I think to be honest, again, I would say it goes back to the culture thing. Like my mom was always at like carnival, like she grew up in Haiti, and so the music was always on. So when it would be on like a Saturday morning, we'd wake up. My mom would be like, get up, we're cleaning the house. But like music would be blasting. And you would have like little dance breaks. And I think it's like my siblings too. We would just put on shows. Like we'd hang up a curtain like in a hallway and then do a fashion show or come up with our own theater production or a musical or whatever Britney Spears song was out. We were like, this is the dance that we're doing for this today.
My older sister and I used to do that too.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. No, we would rope my brother into it, and he'd be like, "I hate this." And we're like, "You're doing it. You're step on the 2 and the 4. Thank you." So it was really fun. I guess we just always did dance. Like I'm talking about, like started ballet class when I was 3, and did that forever, and then eventually you go into tap and jazz and modern and hip hop and all the different things, and then. Yeah, then when we moved to Georgia and I went to that school, I was in ballet, tap and jazz, modern class. And so cool. And obviously, Miami's a very cultured spot in general, and Georgia is very different, but I still felt like I was getting so much from both places. So sometimes people are like, you are so sweet and you seem kind of Southern. And I'm like, I feel like that's a little bit, but there's also a lot of Miami in me too. And I'm like, I'm just the blend of that. And that's like very apparent in dance and singing and all the things that I do. So yeah.
Awesome. And where did songwriting start for you? Because I know that that's like a craft that's usually like developed like later in the years, like after you hear like a bunch of like singers that you like. But when did that start for you? And like, tell me about that journey.
Well, I think, yeah, somebody always kind of inspires you or something. So since I went to that, it was a middle and high school, the fine arts school. My sisters were older, and one of them was like in junior and senior year of high school, and I was in like 6th grade. And she was friends and in classes and stuff with this other girl, Julia, who was this like incredible songwriter who still is like performs at Lollapalooza, like insane. And she had like a looping machine and like did the whole thing. And like that was her thing at the school. And you know, you're like a 6th grader, like starry eyed watching like, oh my gosh, she's so cool. She's so good. She writes her own songs. And I just remember sitting down one day at the piano at our house and I was just playing like some chords. And I won't lie to you, I'm not like the most proficient pianist ever, especially now. I'm a little rusty. But like I would just play chords that I felt sounded good. And then I would just start singing little melodies over it and coming up with words. And I would like write it in my little notebook. And then I would just, my mom would kind of just be listening. And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, so I wrote this song and she's like, play it. And so I played it for her. And now I had no idea at the time, but now I look back and I'm like doing like all these like crazy like key changes in the song that like the key center just changes. And I'm like, oh, what was I on back then? I was a genius. But yeah, it was so cool. And I think she probably inspired me. And then things my mom listened to, she listened to like a lot of like Sarah McLachlan, who's like very songwritery, you know, and we would like drive around and like just listen to that in the car and like, oh, it was so good.
Cool. Yeah. So 6th grade. Yeah. That's early.
Oh yeah. Real early.
Yeah. I had an experience playing the saxophone. I'd bring my horn back and I'd practice and I'd play, or I can remember making up what I thought was like a song, like on the horn, right? And I'm playing like the side like palm keys, and like I mean, they're not exactly like, you know, correct like pitches. They're just like fun to like play like really fast. And I had a similar story. I showed my mom. I was so excited. And I was like, Mom, check this out. Like I did a song, and my mom goes, those aren't notes. And I was like, I was destroyed. I was just like, oh man, sorry mom, but
I'll try again.
Yeah, like but that kind of like pushed me, I guess, like motivated me to like, okay, well, I guess I should figure out like the right notes first, and like, you know,
that's good.
Learn music notation.
Could have gone the other way.
Yeah, it could have gone the other way. I could have just but anyway, no, thanks mom for the support there.
Yeah.
But it did push me, you know.
It is. That's good. I think moms, they can be supportive, but being tough is important. My mom's very tough and was like, okay, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna do it the best. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do this the best. So it's like, all right, here we go. You know, no holding back, and I kind of just like have kept that mentality throughout time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where did the journey continue after school, after high school?
Oh yeah. So when I was talking about the jazz band, crazy, I'd like listen to a little jazz here and there, but mostly I was like listening to pop stuff in the classical choir, doing musical theater. Like jazz wasn't really on my radar until senior year of high school. And my choir teacher, or no, my piano teacher actually was like, hey, you have a great ear. You should go sing with the jazz band on Wednesdays after school. Okay. And I was like, what? I don't even know jazz. And he's like, just go learn a few standards, just sing with them, it'll be fun. And I was like, okay. So I went there, and I remember it was the band director like running the little jazz ensemble, and he was like, yeah, I heard about you. Like, okay, all right, like come on in. And I come in, and he's like, here's some music. And like I'd done like all state in choir my whole life, so I'm like, sure, yeah, I can read whatever. So I read like the standard, I think it was Corcovado. Actually.
Oh, okay. That's not like a easy song to start on.
I think he like really tried to get me. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to try to read this. And it was really hard, but I liked the challenge that jazz brought to music and to singing. Because you know, sometimes you kind of start to go on autopilot when you're get good at something, you're like, okay, like I'm just phoning it in a little bit at certain points. If I wasn't like on stage, you know, but I'm like in choir reading and I'm like, yes, here we go. These are the notes. Da, da, da. But jazz, I was like, whoa, look at all these accidentals. Like this is not a joke. So that was really cool. And then they grew to love me and I grew to love them. And then my choir director was like, I see you're singing with the jazz band. There's this thing called like Grammy Jazz Choir. You should audition for it. And I'm like, okay. He's like, you just have to, here, I'll send you the stuff, like the links. You just have to like send it in.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, cool. Little did I know at that time that this was like a big deal that people who are really into jazz like audition every year for and like never get in.
Okay.
Because it's like all the high schoolers in the United States audition and some get into like the big band. There's like one small ensemble and then there's the small choir, which is like 8 people. So it's 2 on a part, like 2 sopranos, 2 alto, 2 tenor, 2 bass.
Right.
So, and I was a soprano, so I was pretty much vying for like 2 spots in the country. And I had no clue, and honestly, probably for the better.
Yeah.
And so I send in this stuff, and I like sing this random soli that I found online, and I got chosen. And they were like, and this is also when I was trying to be the lead in the musical at my high school.
Okay.
So all of this is happening at the same time. They're like, you have to come out to LA for Grammy Week for 10 days. And like the show's like 2 weeks after. The directors of the musical, they're panicking, but they're like, you have to go. And like, it was so fun. Like the news came. It was like a big deal. I was like, what did I just get myself into? Whatever, I went and it was such a cool experience. And I kind of fell in love with jazz a little bit by that point.
Yeah.
And that's when I really thought, maybe I should be applying to school for jazz. So that's when I applied to like the New School and Tisch and USC and UMiami for jazz, like some for pop, some for jazz, but UMiami I ended up auditioning for the jazz program and I got in and then everything went well. And I was obviously from Miami originally and I love the idea of going back. And so that's what I did. I went to Frost at UMiami for jazz voice and that was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a wild adventure.
Yeah. How did the challenge of that like genre, like, do you think it helped you in like other ways?
Oh, so much. I don't think I would be like the pop R&B session singer, especially that I am and can be now, if I hadn't been in like jazz ensembles with the band and honestly mostly jazz vocal ensembles. I don't know if you've looked at those charts lately, but that ish is hard.
Yeah.
Like those parts, they're like so close. It's like just moving like this the whole
accuracy
time.
you have to have. Yeah.
And all the solos in there are insane. And you have to like laser your ears in so hard and learn these crazy lines, like, you know, just jazz in general and just improv and everything. It was a whole new world to me. And I think that's why I liked it so much because it felt like, ooh, something to challenge me, something to push me. And I really enjoyed that.
Okay.
So yeah, just I can't tell you like how awesome that was for my life now. And just being in front of a band, to be honest, I feel like if you're in choir, you don't really do that, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
You're like maybe with a pianist once for a solo thing, but like
singing with a live.
You don't know how to direct a band. I also met a lot of like other musicians and a lot of the guys that were playing at school. They'd be like, hey, do you want to do this gig? And then I got into like gigging a lot outside of school.
Okay.
And that was a big deal. And I was like doing wedding band stuff on the weekend. I was doing like funk gigs during the week and like a country gig during the week, just from like all the connections you make at school with all these different musicians. And I think all of that experience was so like instrumental in just my development as a musician and a performer.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And when you went to that the Grammy audition that you mentioned in LA, was that your first time out there?
Yeah, that was my first time out there and it was so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, they really do it up. The Grammy program, especially like the Grammy program for kids. They like put you guys up in hotels and they just, you know, they have to really watch you. So they're just like taking you here to there and you record at like really famous studios. And we went to Capitol Records and recorded like like 8 songs or whatever that we learned for the program. That was the other thing. We had to learn so much music beforehand before we got out there so that we would know it. And it was just more about practicing and blend and locking things in, etc. Because we only had 10 days. And then we performed at the Grammy after party, which was so cool too. And like we just met some of the coolest people and got to work with a bunch of people. It was really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That was also, I think, the year that what's her name? Esperanza Spalding, right? She
Yeah.
won Best New Artist.
Yeah, 2011-ish.
2012?
Yeah, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
It's around
and I
there.
was like,
That was huge
yeah,
for
that
our
was like
school too, yeah.
that was like a big thing.
Yeah.
And it felt so cool. We're like, we're here for jazz and the jazz singer won. And like
Yeah,
it was so
yeah.
awesome.
So yeah, she was, I believe, like the second jazz artist, but the first female.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, to win Best New Artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. That was so awesome. I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. You know, when you get that feeling, you're like, oh, I should be here. This is right. Yeah.
So that did have an influence on you coming out to LA eventually?
I think,
think, that
it
experience?
did. Yeah, just because I was like, anything could happen here. Yeah.
You felt the magic.
I did. I took a few stops on the way to LA, which we can get to, but you know, all learning experience. So it was good. Yeah.
Cool. Well, no, let's get to it. Let's jump into it. Like how did you make the decision to move out here, and like what led to that?
Well, right after I graduated from UM, I got asked to like skip a bunch of auditions and audition for The Voice. So then they flew me out to Atlanta to do like the director's or production audition or something.
Yep.
I did that. They were like, great, we love you. We want you to come out to like the Hollywood Week kind of thing, which is like you're out there for the whole month of October. You're practicing. You're working with their voice teacher. You get any fittings, all this stuff for like that audition on camera where they turned around and stuff.
Yeah.
So I did that, turned 3 chairs. Then I was on the show.
Oh.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Awesome.
And then did that I made it to the top 20. It was really fun. Crazy experience. Honestly, met some of the best friends of my life. Was just on the phone with one.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
And yeah, it was nuts. I think the biggest takeaway from that was you learn a lot about yourself, good or bad, and what you want and what you don't want as an artist and a person. And you know, those shows are machines, and I think they're so great and they're so fun, and I wouldn't say anything bad about it. It's just I learned a lot for myself.
Okay.
And I'm very thankful that I had the experience. So, yeah.
Cool.
How do you go about picking a song when you're auditioning for something like that? Do you go with something that you think you just sing really well, or do you go with something that's like super, close to your heart?
So here's a little secret. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this.
So you don't pick your songs?
You don't pick your songs. Which is like half the reason, like not the reason that I think I got kicked off. I think it's all, they plan it all out, to be honest. If I have my 2 cents about it, I think they know exactly what's going to happen. But I'm like, oh, this song is, like you can be the best singer, but if a song's not for you, it's just not for you.
Sure.
You do the best you can, but like, come on. So yeah, you just kind of have to, they'll give you like a list of like 10 songs and it's like, pick your top 5. And you're like, okay. And then they just pick one from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you work with the coaches and stuff, getting ready for the process.
Yep.
Okay. Do you have to make up a story almost about
No,
did anybody ask you why you chose that song?
They do. Actually, they do. They're like, why did you choose this? And you kind of have to be like, well, this song is really great. I love it. And you know what? Now that I think about it, it reminds me of when I was a child. No, you do kind of like come up with some way, because you have to try it. That's like the big thing as an artist. You have to connect to the song in some way. So you're like, hey, how did I connect to this? And you just talk about it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into acting. Like, I want to hear about like how you got started with that, and like where you're at with it now.
Yeah. Well, I can just fast forward you really fast. After The Voice, moved to Nashville. It was great, but didn't really find my pocket there of like people to work with, etc. Was a little pigeonholed in country music, which was fun, but just not really my thing. So then I left, and then I decided I wanted to go to LA. Came to LA, and it was like 2019, right before the pandemic. I was here maybe like 6 months.
Okay,
then,
you came right at the
boom, pandemic hit. And I was like doing gigs and like doing duo gigs and like doing cool things and writing with people, and then it stopped. And I was like, no, the momentum is gone. So everybody knows how that went. You like just kind of chill out, I guess, for a little bit, especially when you're in a new city. Like I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, oh, let me just call up on my friends and we'll like Skype right and like do all these things. Like you try, but there's only so much you can do.
I imagine that must have felt hard too when you just left Nashville. You know, when you feel like you're not finding your pocket, and then you get to a new place and everything just shuts down. And you're by yourself.
So freaking worst, but make it through. And yeah, I guess I'd always acted when I was little, and mostly musical theater and things like that, and just being a dramatic person in general. But then it wasn't until I got linked up with my voiceover agent contractor out here that I don't know what happened. Maybe like a year ago, I thought, why am I not doing like session work? I love to read music, sight read. I love the idea of being a Disney princess at some point in my life, like for the movie, not at the park. And I was like, how do I get into this? And I reached out to a couple old professors and stuff, and they were like, oh, talk to these people, take these lessons, mingle, do the thing. Did that, got connected with people. And yeah, they were like, oh, you're great. Let's start sending you out. Like, we'll submit you for a bunch of stuff. Got submitted for a couple things. Ended up getting like this singing background so on this Netflix show. That was just like session work. And then I got some other stuff, and I was like, maybe I need like an acting manager. Like, I really want to be back in acting and stuff. So I reached out to somebody, got connected with her, and like the first audition she sent me on was for this like Tom Segura, the comedian, like this whatever short little thing that he was doing, and I got it. And so I was like, the first thing I had to do was like be acting, no singing, no dancing, just acting. And I was like, whoa, this is not my number one thing here. What's happening? And like being funny. And it was like this comedic, like little skit that he was doing. And it was like me and him just in a scene. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And I just thought like, well, they liked you. You're here. Just do it.
Yeah, they picked you.
I'm like, whatever. Who cares, So if you look online, it's there. And that was cool. And I was like, okay, wait, that was actually so fun. So then I talked to my voiceover agent. I'm like, I'd love to be submitted for more like on-camera singing stuff. If there was a way I could blend these three things, singing, dancing, acting, give it to me. Yeah. So I'm like, tell me anything. And then, yeah, just kind of went from there. Actually, it's kind of a segue, but I've a lot of good stuff recently, including I was just singing in like a Disney animated film.
Okay.
And that was cool. Big mega milestone awesome. For me. I was like, oh my gosh. Comes out in, I want to say November. It's called Wish. It's awesome. Going to be really cool. Yeah. And it was awesome. We were like on the big Paul Newman stage, like that giant sound stage where they like record the orchestras and stuff on the Fox lot. Oh man, that was a dream. I was like, oh, I'm here. Like, this is really happening. And you just like go in, and there were some other singers there, and we like record parts and singing. Oh, it was so cool. Nice. We got to do like a little speaking and stuff for little parts for these characters, and it was so freaking awesome. And I was like, that lit the weirdest fire in me. That was in December. Okay. And I'd been like previously before that just head down and like writing, doing the artist thing, which is awesome, but also such a struggle. And like doing my day job stuff. So I was like, oh, where am I going? What's happening? And then, opens this door, and I was like, you experience it, you love it. And you're like, how do I do more of this? Yeah. This is what I want to do. Sign me up. And then, then again, recently just finished filming a movie. Can't say what it is right now, but it's very cool. All right. Very, very cool. You'll hear about it soon. I think it comes out next October. Not even this October, next October. But this one was like singing and dancing and acting like on camera with like huge director, huge stars, like cool stuff. So that's awesome. Yeah. And it was crazy. We'd have like dance rehearsal, then we'd have like a music rehearsal, and we'd have, I don't even know, just like fittings for a wig we had to wear, and like wardrobe fittings and like all these things. And I was on the Warner Brothers lot like 3 or 4 times a week, and that's when I was like, okay, no, this is what I want to do.
Just together. Keep taking up the level. Yeah.
I'm like, somebody get me in here. And so that was the coolest thing, and literally just wrapped last week. So I'm like still tired, but so cool.
That's awesome. So tell me about like during the day, you're saying that you're working managing like social pages. Like tell me a little bit about that, how you got into that.
Yeah, so right out of college, I kind of started working with this company that did social media for like Live Nation and those different venues like all around the US. So I started working with them kind of part-time, was kind of full-time with them for a while in Nashville. And then pandemic and moving to LA kind of slowed down. And then when things started to pick up, I was like, the artist thing is so great, but I need to pay my rent. So
Yeah.
I need to do something, and I'm very smart. I can figure it out. I'll figure something out. Just looked around and I saw like this position was opening, and I thought, well, I know this. I've done this before. At least I have like the street cred to like get an interview. And it seems like it's like quasi flexible, you know. Socials, like, it's a tricky lady. It can be so flexible because you're like, oh, I'm working from home a lot. And, you know, it's like you're posting and you can kind of work on your own time. But then other times it's like, this trend is happening. We need to create, you know, media for this right now. We need to do this. And you're like, I am in the car. So sometimes it's very stressful, but definitely thankful for it because it does keep the lights on in between all the jobs and stuff. And it gives me some sense of freedom of like being able to like, you know, have that time in between jobs. Like, you know, I'm working my way up, but I'm not there yet. Yeah,
I'm doing a lot of social stuff too, and back in Michigan right now, and it's kind of the same thing. It gives me the freedom to be here, and I'm lucky enough that I get to push the trend stuff aside on someone else.
Yes.
And,
that's so nice.
Just kind of it can be a little bit freeing to just have that side gig that you know it's there and can be flexible around what's important to you.
Yeah, because I've done, and it was probably like right before the pandemic, during the pandemic, like just the music thing and just the performing thing, and that being like your sole income, your sole everything. And it was a lot. It's a lot of pressure on like the art and your love for the art. It almost takes away the love for it a little bit.
Almost turns it into a job.
Yeah, because it's like so much pressure on you to be like, if I don't take 4 gigs this week, like I can't pay my rent or I can't do this. And, you know, it's like, oh gosh, you know, or if I don't teach 20,000 lessons this week, like what am I going to do? Yeah. So it's like, while it's still fun and more fulfilling maybe than another job, it's like you don't want that for like the love of your art. You want that to be your special thing. Yeah. So I've learned like to try to find balance, and I'm still working on it, to be honest. I went for a while there where it was like work, and I was like slacking on the music and performing stuff. And kind of more recently, I've been like, okay, I need to focus more on what I really love. Like, not getting any younger.
Yeah. Well, do you think that your experience in that job has like helped you with your own like projects and stuff? Like managing that helps you manage your other things?
Yes and no. I would say yes, just to be like organized and be on top of things. I think a lot of artists sometimes struggle with that, and just finding like initiative and finding the desire to get things done. But also like I spend all day on socials, so it is the last
that
thing
you
want to do
on your personal time.
On my personal time for my artist stuff. Like when I started that job before, it was like I was doing stuff on social media all the time and posting and recording and covers. And like since I started, you can go back and look, and it's like dead zone. I'm like, I just don't want to spend like an hour recording a cover 20,000 times to get it right how I want it and to look how I want it, and then like work the social media thing, and then like sometimes it doesn't work, and it's like it can be really defeating. Ooh, sorry, did this turn dark?
No.
I'm like, yeah, but you know, oh my gosh, artists, props to all of us because it's so tough. And like now that social media has become the monster that it is, it's like people are getting signed from TikTok. Like
you can't not do it. You know,
that's like the only way they're getting signed. My roommate works at Capitol, and like that's how they're finding people. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do 10,000 TikTok covers right now to like maybe be seen. It just like the odds are really, it's like, yeah, it's kind of defeating. You're like, why do I want to put all this time into it? But then I don't know, maybe that's why I'm like, I like the audition thing right now, at least for now. I'm taking a break from the other stuff. Just like auditioning for like session work and on camera, singing and dancing and acting stuff. Because I'm like, at least I know that if I just do my best, like somebody will see it. And even if I don't get the part, like maybe they'll remember me for something else. Or like maybe they'll want to work with me. And even like the last project I just did, the music director emailed me. He's like, you're so talented. Like we'd love to grab coffee with you. Like think about working on some more projects. Like they do everything. They did like Stars Born and like some other ones that I can't say because it's too obvious of what I'm doing now. But yeah, they're doing everything from like writing the music and like obviously doing like the musical directing aspect of it. And I'm excited to talk with them. I'm like, I don't know where this could go, if it just means like more parts and stuff, or if it means maybe working with them on like the writing side and the composing side. I would love that too. I'm like, just get me in. Let's do it. Yeah. So Yeah, you just gotta hope that like one thing will lead to another.
Yeah.
That's my biggest.
Well, it sounds like it's going that way.
Yeah.
And it also, it must be nice too to have that flexibility, because you never know when that opportunity is going to come up.
Yeah.
To be able to just grab it and go with it.
Yeah, you never know. And it's crazy. And you just like, that's the thing. And it always feels like it's all happening at once. Like you'll be nothing for like a couple months and then all the things. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of how it's going right now.
Cool. Well, tell me a little bit about some of your influences, like who inspires you, whether artists, friends or family.
Yes. I was actually just talking to someone about this today. I love Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
I love Celine Dion.
Awesome.
It is what it
Shout
is.
out to Canada.
Loves me some Celine, Whitney Houston. Love Tori Kelly. Get a lot of like look-alike because of the hair when it's done right. Frank Ocean, like just not maybe. I know I love a Beyonce. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm not like she's my inspiration musically. I think she's untouchable and amazing, but like I don't know. I always like a lot of the older artists a little bit more, just because I'm like they did something.
Do you think a little bit is because of what you listened to growing up?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it. And like there are definitely some country artists like back in the day that I think were really great. And who else do I love? Honestly, I love finding new music today and new artists and stuff. R&B stuff's great. Like the neo soul stuff's great. I'll love a pop song. And then, yeah, honestly, I'm just love music that like blends a bunch of different styles too. So
Yeah.
anybody who does that is always like a big inspiration for me.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, you shared with us some things that are coming up that you can't like fully disclose. But
Right.
I mean, what's something exciting that you're working on right now that you can't talk about?
Ooh. Well, on my artist side, I have a bunch of songs that I've written. Some are coming out soon. Made a music video for one.
Nice.
Hopefully that's coming out in the next month or so. It's kind of a beast getting the whole song releasing thing together.
I think I saw on your Instagram. You're in a red outfit. Was that the?
Yes, in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yes, that's the one. Oh, I'm so excited.
Cool.
Very excited. That's like a big thing that I have coming up. And then after that, I'm just trying to write a lot more now that I'm done with some filming. So hopefully can get it in some good sessions. That's the goal.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we were jamming out to you when we were setting up.
Oh
today.
yeah. We're setting the mood.
I was feeling soiree.
Oh, heck yeah. I love that. Yeah,
That's
check
the
it
jam.
out. That one's really good. I like that one. That one's fun.
So where can people find your things, your social handles? Where can people hear you?
Well, Spotify, Apple Music, etc. But if you go to my Instagram, it's Ashley Levin, Levin music, and you can find everything from there pretty much.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Ashley, thanks for being here with us.
Of course. Thanks for having me. This is awesome.